My mother-in-law spent 2 years trying to destroy my marriage. When I finally exposed everything she'd done, her son told her he never wanted to see her again. I knew my mother-in-law didn't like me from the day we met. She made it clear I wasn't good enough for her son, that he could do better, that I was just a phase he'd grow out of. But I never thought she'd actively try to break us up. Never thought she'd lie, manipulate, and scheme for years trying to end our marriage. Until I found proof of everything she'd been doing. And when I showed my husband, he had to choose between his mother and his wife. She thought he'd pick her. She was wrong. My husband Marcus and I met in college. We dated for 3 years before getting engaged. His mom Patricia was polite to me during those years, but never warm, never welcoming. I always felt like she was judging me, waiting for me to mess up so she could tell Marcus I told you so. When Marcus proposed, Patricia's attitude got worse. She made comments about us being too young, about how marriage was a big commitment and maybe we should wait. When we set a wedding date anyway, she tried to take over the planning, wanted to invite people we didn't know, wanted to change the venue, wanted everything her way. Marcus had to tell her multiple times to back off, that it was our wedding, not hers. The wedding day itself was tense. Patricia showed up late, wore white even though I'd specifically asked her not to, made a toast at the reception that was more about Marcus than about us as a couple. But we got through it. Got married, moved into our own apartment, started our life together. I thought once we were married, Patricia would accept me, accept that I was part of the family now. But it got worse, so much worse. She'd call Marcus constantly, multiple times a day. If he didn't answer, she'd text me asking where he was, why he wasn't picking up, if everything was okay. She'd show up at our apartment unannounced, let herself in with the spare key Marcus had given her for emergencies. I'd come home from work and she'd be there rearranging our kitchen or doing our laundry. When I asked her to call before coming over, she'd act hurt, say she was just trying to help, that I should be grateful to have a mother-in-law who cared so much. Marcus would defend her, say she meant well, that she was just adjusting to him, being married, that I should be patient. So I was patient. I bit my tongue. I tried to be nice, tried to include her, tried to make it work, but nothing I did was ever good enough. Patricia would criticize everything, the way I cooked, the way I cleaned, the way I decorated our apartment. She'd make comments to Marcus about how tired I looked, how stressed, how maybe marriage wasn't agreeing with me. She'd suggest he needed someone who could handle being a wife. Someone more capable, someone better. The first major incident happened about 6 months into our marriage. Marcus had been working late a lot. Big project at work. I understood and supported him. Then one night Patricia called me, said she needed to talk, that it was important. I met her for coffee thinking maybe she wanted to finally bond, to start fresh. Instead, she told me Marcus was unhappy, that he'd been confiding in her about our marriage, that he felt trapped, that he'd made a mistake marrying so young. She said he was too nice to tell me himself, but she thought I deserved to know the truth, that maybe I should consider giving him space, maybe even separating for a while so he could figure out what he really wanted. I was devastated, went home crying. When Marcus got there, I confronted him, asked if he was unhappy, if he regretted marrying me. He looked completely confused, said he had no idea what I was talking about, that he'd never said any of that to his mother, that he was happy, that he loved me, that he had no idea why she'd tell me otherwise. He called Patricia and confronted her. She denied saying those things, said I must have misunderstood, that she was just concerned about us and maybe I'd taken it the wrong way. Marcus believed her, told me I must have misheard, that his mom wouldn't lie about something like that. But I knew what I'd heard. Patricia had looked me in the eyes and told me my husband was unhappy, had suggested I leave him. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was intentional. Over the next year, things escalated. Patricia would tell me things Marcus supposedly said, that he thought I was lazy, that he wished I made more money, that he was embarrassed by how I dressed. Every time I'd confront Marcus, he'd deny it, say he never said those things, that his mom was confused or I was misunderstanding. The worst was when Patricia told Marcus things I supposedly said. She'd tell him I complained about him to my friends, that I said marrying him was a mistake, that I was only with him for financial security. Marcus would come home upset and we'd fight. I'd explain I never said any of it. But the damage was done. Patricia was creating division between us by lying to both of us. She also started interfering in specific ways. She'd invite Marcus to family dinners and tell him I was invited too. Then she'd tell me the dinner was canceled. Marcus would show up at his parents' house and I wouldn't be there. He'd call asking where I was. I'd say I thought it was canceled. Patricia would act shocked, say she'd definitely told me the right time. Marcus started thinking I was deliberately avoiding his family. She did the same thing with our plans. We'd plan a weekend trip, and Patricia would call Marcus with some emergency. Her car broke down. She needed help with something at the house. Could he come over? Marcus would cancel our plans to help his mom. I'd be upset. We'd fight about his priorities. Patricia got exactly what she wanted. More conflict between us. But she had been lying about this for years. Well, not years at the very start, but for over 2 years, she'd been systematically trying to destroy our marriage, telling each of us lies about the other, creating misunderstandings, manufacturing conflicts, all while playing the innocent, concerned mother who just wanted us to be happy. My breaking point came when I found messages on Marcus's laptop. He'd left it open while he was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. I just glanced at the screen and saw his mom's name. Saw a message that made me stop and read. Patricia had been sending Marcus articles about divorce, about how common it was for people who married young, about how it wasn't a failure to admit you'd made a mistake. She'd sent him contact information for divorce lawyers, told him she'd support him no matter what he decided, that she just wanted him to be happy, that if he needed to leave his marriage, she'd help him through it. I scrolled back through months of messages. Patricia had been subtly pushing Marcus toward divorce for over a year, planting seeds of doubt, telling him it was okay to give up, offering to help him leave me. And Marcus hadn't shut it down. He'd been responding, thanking her for the support, saying he'd think about it. I had no idea the full extent of their betrayal. Not just Patricia's manipulation, but Marcus's willingness to entertain the idea of divorce without ever talking to me, without ever trying to work on our marriage. He'd been having conversations with his mother about leaving me, while coming home every night and acting like everything was fine. I took screenshots of everything, every message Patricia had sent, every article about divorce, every suggestion that Marcus should leave me, every lie she'd told about me, every manipulation. I documented all of it. Then I started paying closer attention to Patricia's behavior. I recorded phone calls where she lied to me. I kept texts where she'd tell me one thing and Marcus another. I built a complete file of evidence showing exactly what she'd been doing for 2 years. When I showed them the evidence, everything changed. I waited until we were all together. Sunday dinner at Patricia's house. Marcus's dad and sister were there too. After dinner, I said I had something I needed to share with everyone, that it was important. I pulled out my laptop, opened the file with all the screenshots, started showing everyone the messages between Patricia and Marcus, the articles about divorce, the suggestions to leave me. Patricia's face went pale. Marcus looked shocked that I'd seen them. Then I showed the messages where Patricia had lied to both of us, where she'd told Marcus I said things I never said, where she'd told me Marcus said things he never said, where she'd deliberately tried to create conflict between us. I showed the texts where she'd give us different information about family events to make it seem like I was avoiding them. I played recordings of phone calls where Patricia told me Marcus was unhappy and I should leave, where she said things about our marriage that were completely fabricated. Her voice on those recordings was clear, undeniable. She couldn't claim I'd misunderstood. Marcus's dad sat there silent. His sister looked horrified. Marcus looked between me and his mother like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Patricia tried to explain, tried to say she was just concerned, that she was trying to help, that she'd never meant to cause problems. Marcus cut her off, asked her directly if she'd been lying to both of us, if she'd been trying to break us up. Patricia started crying, said she just wanted what was best for him, that she didn't think I was right for him, that she thought he deserved better, that she was protecting him. Marcus asked her if she'd sent him articles about divorce, if she'd given him lawyers' contact information, if she'd been actively encouraging him to leave his wife. She admitted she had, said she could see our marriage was struggling, that she was just giving him options. Marcus said our marriage was only struggling because of her, because she'd been lying and manipulating for 2 years, creating problems that didn't exist, making us fight about things that weren't real. He said if our marriage ended, it would be her fault, not ours. Then he told her he was done, that she'd crossed a line she couldn't come back from, that he couldn't have a relationship with someone who'd tried so hard to destroy his marriage, who'd lied to his wife, who'd disrespected both of us. He said he needed space from her, that he didn't know if he'd ever be able to trust her again. Patricia begged him not to cut her off, said she was his mother, that she loved him, that family was supposed to forgive. Marcus said he needed time, that maybe eventually he could forgive her, but right now he couldn't even look at her. We left. Marcus didn't speak to his mother for 6 months, didn't return her calls, didn't go to family events if she'd be there. His dad and sister understood. They'd seen the evidence. They knew what Patricia had done. During those 6 months, Marcus and I went to marriage counseling, worked through all the damage Patricia had caused, rebuilt trust, learned to communicate better. Our marriage actually got stronger because we were finally dealing with real issues instead of manufactured ones. Patricia eventually apologized, a real apology where she admitted what she'd done and took responsibility. Marcus started talking to her again, but their relationship is different now, distant. He doesn't confide in her, doesn't ask for her advice, doesn't give her space to interfere in our lives. We also set firm boundaries. Patricia is not allowed to have a key to our house. She has to call before visiting. She's not allowed to be alone with either of us, so she can't tell different stories. Everything happens with both of us present, and if she ever lies or manipulates again, Marcus will cut her off permanently. It's been 3 years since that dinner. 3 years since I exposed everything Patricia had been doing. Our marriage is stronger than ever. We have a daughter now. Patricia is allowed to see her grandchild, but only under our terms, only with boundaries firmly in place. Patricia lost her close relationship with her son because she couldn't accept his choice in a wife, because she thought she knew better than he did about who he should be with, because she prioritized her own preferences over his happiness, and she paid the price. I don't hate Patricia anymore. I actually feel sorry for her. She damaged her relationship with her son permanently because she couldn't let go of control, because she couldn't trust that Marcus was capable of making his own decisions, because she thought breaking up his marriage would somehow bring him closer to her. Instead, it pushed him away. What I learned from this experience is that boundaries are essential, especially with family. Just because someone is a parent doesn't mean they get unlimited access to your life, doesn't mean they get to interfere without consequences. Marcus had to learn that too. Had to learn that protecting his wife meant standing up to his mother, even when it was hard, even when it meant creating distance. I also learned the importance of documentation. If I hadn't collected evidence, Patricia could have denied everything, could have kept claiming I was misunderstanding or being too sensitive. But recordings and screenshots don't lie. They showed exactly what she'd been doing, made it impossible for Marcus to dismiss my concerns. To anyone dealing with a toxic in-law who's trying to destroy their marriage, here's my advice. Document everything. Don't just let it slide. Don't just accept the excuses. Build a case. Show your partner what's really happening. Because sometimes people can't see manipulation when it's coming from someone they love and trust. And if your partner won't listen even when presented with evidence, that's a different problem. That's a partner who's choosing their family of origin over the family they created with you. That's not a boundary issue. That's a marriage issue. Marcus listened when I showed him proof. He chose our marriage over his mother's manipulation. If he hadn't, I would have left, because I wasn't going to spend my life fighting a mother-in-law who had her son's ear. Patricia tried to break up my marriage. She spent 2 years lying, manipulating, and scheming. She thought she was protecting her son. Really, she was destroying her relationship with him. And when he finally saw the truth, he made a choice. He chose me, chose our marriage, chose to build a life separate from his mother's control. Patricia lost her son, not completely, but the close relationship they had is gone, destroyed by her own actions, by her inability to respect his choices, by her determination to control his life even after he was married. She thought she'd win, thought eventually eventually Marcus would see I wasn't good enough and leave me. Instead, he saw her for what she really was, a manipulator who put her own wants above his happiness, and he walked away. That's what happens when you try to destroy someone's marriage. You might succeed in creating conflict, but you also risk losing the person you're trying to protect. Patricia learned that the hard way, and our marriage survived despite her best efforts to end it. Subscribe if you've ever had to set boundaries with family who didn't respect your relationship.